Do you believe in a two-state solution similar to that of the original, 1940 borders, or at least something like the Oslo Accords? Or do you think...
You see, this is the Mediterranean. Here's Egypt. This is what I mean. You're gonna go through here. So if you say like, oh, there's been conflict in this region forever, people say this, I'm gonna respond to your question. So the two-state solution would be this right here. So we have the West Bank and we have Gaza and then we have Israel proper, in which 25% of the people living in here are Arabs, okay? Arab Christians and Arab Muslims, but citizens of Israel.
To hear the truth from a professor about the Palestinian-Israel debate is quite remarkable today. But now we're going to listen to a professor really telling the truth about the real history of Palestine. And please remember to subscribe to this channel and leave your comments below, and we'll talk to you on the other side of the video.
Palestine has existed for over 3,000 years ago, and I believe it will still exist until the day of judgment.
Do what?
Do exist until the day of judgment.
With the area right there?
The area would be still called Palestine.
No, listen, man. Palestine is a name that does not go back 3,000 years, my friend. Okay? So here's what I would say to you. This is what I would say to you. Study, and I can send you to a couple places, study the history of that particular landmass and how the names have been changed and moved around and so on and so forth. And the people have come and gone, including Jews, including people who are Palestinians. Jews never left, even at the peak of the Ottoman Empire, whatever empire, Jews were always there. So it's like, it's been there forever. Like a story like that human beings tell is a misinformed story, because it's like you don't understand the history. The history is it's a beautiful, fascinating sociological history.
Do you believe in a two-state solution similar to that of the original, 1940 borders, or at least something like the Oslo Accords? Or do you think a one-state solution would bring more peace long-term?
You see, this is the Mediterranean. Here's Egypt. This is what I mean. You're gonna go through here. So if you say like, oh, there's been conflict in this region forever, people say this, I'm gonna respond to your question. But there's been conflict in this region forever. They've been fighting forever. This is Europe in the year 1000. Europeans have been fighting forever. That looks nothing like Europe today. The map of Europe has been changing constantly. The map of this area of Israel has been changing constantly. So when we say like, oh, there's conflict, people have been fighting forever, that's just justification to not really understand the nature of sociology. So this is Gaza right here, okay? And this is what's called the West Bank. And Jerusalem is right there. And Jerusalem was identified as the international community. So it was not going to be aligned with Palestinians. It was not going to be aligned with Israel. That has changed over time. And I'm not going to get into some of the details of the more recent politics, but this is the West Bank here. This region is completely closed off. Israel controlled this region here, and Israel controlled this region, which was primarily set aside for Palestinians. But Israel left the Gaza in the early 2000s and gave it over to the Palestinians. Hamas took over, and this is completely cut off. So the two-state solution would be this right here. So we have the West Bank and we have Gaza, and then we have Israel proper, in which 25% of the people living in here are Arabs, okay? Arab Christians and Arab Muslims, but citizens of Israel. And one can make an argument for second-class status for many of them, and there are. I travel with my Arab friends in Israel, and I saw second class, but certain aspects were like, this isn't really fair, right? But nonetheless, so the idea is, well, could this work out? So Palestinians stay here, and the Israelis control this, Israel controls this, and then we work it out. You have these two states, and that's good. Or do we need to break down all these borders and bring Jews and Arabs together as one single nation living in peace? My response is, either one can lead to peace. It doesn't matter. What matters is the people who are making the decisions believe that that is the best option to move forward. Right? And what's exceptionally important, and that you all know this, so you think about this, a very small group of people can radically change the course of history and can radically change the course of peace. You know, when you go through airport security and you take your shoes off, that was because of one single human being who put a bomb in his shoes and then changed travel for billions of travelers because of that. One single human being. It doesn't take a lot to throw things off. And so my thing is, it's interesting how many people I hear talk about Palestinians in Gaza, what Palestinians in Gaza think, who never talked to or met a Palestinian in Gaza, or what Jews in Israel think, what Jews in the settlements in the West Bank think. And so what has happened here is over time, in the West Bank, Jews have gone in and taken over certain areas of the West Bank. And sometimes in exchange, that it's like, okay, they're really living with and working alongside the Palestinians who are living there. And in other instances, taking over the land. And those of you who are Jewish, if you think that the process of Jewish families and Jewish communities who are living on land in the West Bank and have built these communities, mostly walled communities, who did that with the openness and embrace of Palestinians and did it in a fair and democratic process. My guess is you've never been to the West Bank and you've never talked to people about how some of that unraveled. And I have friends and colleagues who live in some of those communities and are amazing human beings who are working alongside with and have immensely positive relationships with their Arab neighbors, are embraced by their Arab neighbors, and in turn embrace back. So if you say, oh, I support the Palestinians and these settlers all have to go, my guess would be you've probably never been there. I mean, you've probably never had conversations with people. You've probably not understood or seen the complexity of the relationships between people.
Yeah, that was quite a remarkable lecture. I mean, some of the things he mentioned, for example, is there was never really a state of Palestine. It never really existed. There's no mention in the Christian Bible, there's no mention in the Quran of Palestine or in the Hebrew Bible of Palestine. There was a nation called the Plishtim, which were eliminated many hundreds of years before the Jews were even there, and therefore that's not true, so we can't even say it. What a remarkable lecture. This professor is actually starting to tell the truth about the history of the land of Israel and the fact that there never really was a Palestinian state. In fact, who was really there for thousands of years were really the Jewish people. And so therefore this term of Palestine was created as an invention meant to distort, to lie, to kill, and to destroy the Jewish people in general. It's important to notice that. It's also important to notice that there's many Jews who live in the place called the West Bank, which is actually Judea and Samaria, that live very peacefully with their Arab neighbors, and Arab neighbors live very peacefully with the Jews of the West Bank. But you're not going to hear that in the news today because it doesn't fit the overall universal narrative against the Jews and wanting to destroy the Jewish state of Israel. So it's really refreshing to hear from this professor a new opinion. I wonder how he did in this university afterwards, but I'd like to hear what you have to say. So drop in a few comments about what you learned today, what you think about that. I'd like to hear. And also don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe to this channel for more great videos.